The toilet paper shortage 2024. Are you ready? Are you stocked up?
We have another one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're getting ready. So the longshoremen decided on October 1st to strike, which means supply side, supply chain disruptions. And so that's going to affect everything from all kind of consumables, grocery store items, Target, Walmart, Home Depot, and electronics. Okay. And I got a complaint about this because I have a lot of worry about how much automations and artificial intelligence are going to displace workers, people who deserve it. Could be done better by a human being, and I think a lot of good human beings are going to get replaced by automations. But this makes me root for the robots. All right, for these guys who are making $80K a year to turn down a 50% increase in their wages because they want a 77% increase in wages. And the reason they said, first of all, they're going to crush the economy to be able to get their way. So they're perfectly willing to take us consumers and have us, serve the consequence and to get a wage that's exorbitant. I mean, you got to admit, 77 is a big jump.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. And that's a pretty good way to get the public to hate your guts right away.
100%. And so one of the rationales for this is that they're seeing the prosperity of the people who are using their services and saying they're making billions of dollars now and they should be entitled to a portion of that prosperity. And the example I use is if you had a painting company come to your house and they had an estimate ready to go and they saw you had a Mercedes parked in your driveway and they just decided to update that estimate. So now it's a little higher because you can afford it. How would you feel?
You'd be pissed off. 100%. Yeah, you can't do that. Like that's it's completely unethical, and they're gouging you because you have more money.
Absolutely, and it's a very much the public doesn't buy into that. Like the class warfare between different groups, it doesn't resonate like it once would. These are handsomely paid people, right, who are asking way too much. Now, part of me thinks that this is a political ploy. The timing is suspect that it happens right in the midst of a election season. Joe Biden gets to put on his, cape at a certain point and rescue the economy, right, for Kamala Harris. And feel a little suspect?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, are they just fishing for either side though, potentially? Like, or is this specifically, you think, a Democrat thing? Like they're targeting them to come in and try to fix it? Like, you know what I mean? Because I could see Trump going down there too. Like, I could see either side using it as political leverage, trying to get something done.
Yeah, and it feels like a Democrat thing, pro-union, on my team. Let's serve up a stage where Joe Biden can come and be the hero in the midst of it. And that, I don't know that, but it feels pretty suspicious that might be what it is. And Biden said yesterday that he is not going to get involved because this is a collective bargaining issue and the unions need to play it out. The problem is that one side doesn't have any repercussions, right? So, when you're in a bargain, you and I are discussing something. If the deal is terrible, both of us are just free to walk away, right? And in this case, one party can't be dispatched, right? They hold all the cards. They can bring the entire economy to their knees. So what would stop them from just asking for 200% if somebody can afford it? There's really nothing.
Yeah, I have a union story. So for years I worked in newspapers, right? So I was an entertainment writer, a sports writer, a graphic designer, whatever. So when I started in Canton, out of the Canton Repository, they asked me when I got there, like, oh, do you want to be in the union? Well, I didn't have any choice. I had to be in the union. And my first question to them was, it's going to cost this much a month. This much is going to come out of your check each time. And I said, well, do I have to be in the union? They're like, well, yeah, you have to be in the union. I'm like, well, what? So I can tell you the entire time I was there, right? So the newspaper industry has been shrinking for a long time. It's on its last gasp, right? But so every year, more and more people, more and more my colleagues, whatever, like they would just the company, the parent company would just let people go. The union did nothing. Like there's no, and they couldn't do anything. It was like, so the whole time I'm like, at the end of it, when I left there, I was like, can I recoup all that money? Because you guys literally did nothing. I got zero benefit from being in that union, even though I had to be in that union. Like it just doesn't work the way it did when unions were founded. Obviously, that was a big deal. Like that needed to happen. For workers' rights and workers' conditions. But in a modern society, like a lot of times it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? It's an antiquated system.
Yeah, well, the pendulum swung in the other direction, where the corporations were oppressive, and they knew they had so many workers that they could oppress because they could just replace you in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So the logic is good, but then when you swing the pendulum in the other direction, right, and take too much power on the other side, then you look just as bad as oppressive corporations.
Mm-hmm. What about the stories from GM? Like, I remember having friends who worked at GM, and they would have a job right within GM, and if they try to do anything outside of that job, right? It's like your job's to sweep this little area right here. If somebody else, if you were sweeping some other area, and then you came over, I'm going to sweep this area too. No, you cannot do that.
Grievance.
Union says no. And it was the most absurd. Some of this stuff was so absurd with what they could and couldn't do, that it was just okay, they're taking advantage of the system now. You know what I mean? Because they have, and I'm sure the longshoremen, it's the same sort of thing. They think, oh, we've got the economy, we've got everybody over a barrel right now, so you're gonna
get our thing.
We're gonna get our stuff. You know what I mean? We're gonna use it to our advantage. Which, I mean, do you think they're gonna get it?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Because the alternative would be just to have the government stand in there, scab workers through to get things unloaded again. And that will never, under this administration, that has a 100% chance of not happening. So they're going to pay up. Or they're going to make a middle-of-the-road concession at 66% because they, that kind of thing. And it's still too expensive because we're in an inflationary period. So you add more costs to imported goods, and those goods end up costing more, and then you just exacerbated the problem.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to pay for their races.
For
you know
sure.
What I mean? 100%. Because, I mean, the cost of all that stuff, whatever's being imported, whatever they're unloading, that's all just going to go up like everything else. So, yeah, it's just going to increase inflation even more.
Yeah, if you compare all of our ports to other countries who did automations, we're the least efficient, most expensive importation, industry in the world. Okay, so we're at the bottom of the list, and America is sort of known for their ingenuity and innovations. We should be at the top of that. And if you take their contract and say for 6 years you're going to pay us more, and we're going to suspend any kind of automations, that seems kind of backwards. It's almost like you don't want to get faster, better, give more value to the overall consumers. So if you go to the grocery store and if you feel like you're getting a bad deal, right, you don't make the trade. It's a bad deal. You shouldn't be forced into buying something subpar just because you have to. That force thing makes everybody feel dirty.
I feel like in general, America as a whole, if you said to most Americans, your cost of living and the cost of groceries, the money that you're expending out per month is going to come considerably down with the use of automated everything. I feel like most Americans would be like, yeah, I'm on board for that.
Sign me up.
Sign me up for sure. Now, like you said, the other side of that is you're going to get all of these, any profession that is threatened by automation, they're going to go kicking and screaming. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's going to be this. There's going to be this big. I mean, we're going to see a lot more. I mean, we're already seeing a lot of this, but I think we're just going to see a lot more of it over the course of the next decade for sure.
Yeah, and how they're similar is I think unions should really kind of, look inside themselves and say, we're trading a premium in wages. If we can figure out how to give a premium in benefits, nobody would have a problem with it. If you paid your dues and then you were like, holy crap, look at all of these. Look at all this stuff's being done on my behalf that I don't have to do, and you have smarter people working on it, you would gladly pay into that system. But when unions collect your payment, and then they figure out ways not to do anything for you, and you're like, why do I even do this? Then you're just 90% of their operation is just extracting money from you. 10% they do stuff like, we'll give to a political campaign and we'll call it a day, guys. And you're like, no, dude, if I want to give to them, let me just give to them directly. So the overall product, if you feel like you got shafted when the money is given to something or someone, you need to be able to renegotiate that and bow out of it if it's a bad deal.
100%.